good morning and welcome to another Monday morning art talk. So today I wanted just to elaborate a little bit about what we discussed last week in regards to having the doubts, having the worry, having the fear, but starting to elaborate more into that fear factor and that fear factor of failure, which is a very common thing that I keep seeing over and over again. And it's not so much the fear of failure, be trying something and all of a sudden it not working out, and that's why you don't even want to start it. But what I'm starting to realize and what I've discovered is that a lot of people are ashamed of failure, to where they're going to try something or not do something because it's not just about that they may not personally succeed at it. What crosses the individual's mind is the thought of what other people are going to think about their failures. All of a sudden now they've tried something and it didn't succeed. They didn't get that promotion. They didn't, you name it, go on and on. How am I going to tell that to people? How am I going to explain that to people? What are people going to think or say about me? And oftentimes what happens is, there could be the parents involved. There could be the grandparents involved. Any type of family member where this sort of being ashamed of not following through and letting something happening. Friends, colleagues within the industry. What are they going to think of me if this doesn't work out? How am I going to confront them? Are they going to think that I'm a loser? Or what? And this whole consumption of what other people think about you is, to me, just the wrong approach, where you have to start sometimes just letting go of that altogether, and you have to think for yourself. You got to do what's best for you and try what's best for you, because I can tell you there is going to be nothing worse in this life than having regrets of not trying something that's on your mind, that you feel sincerely about, that you want to do, but you have that thing in your head that you didn't, you make it, you're ashamed. And I've even seen people who have won awards or been nominated for awards, which is a nice enough thing as it is, but then all of a sudden they don't win the award, and all of a sudden to them that's a failure. Or what are people going to say about me now? What are people going to think? And it's, again, this sort of wrong approach where you have to have that selfishness within you, and maybe that's the wrong word, but just to say, I'm doing this for me. I want to see what I can do. I want to see what I can accomplish. I want to take it as far as I can go and not have that burden, because that's what it becomes. That's that stressful feeling. When I was starting out, was I afraid to start my own company and be off in the world as an artist? What would my parents think if it didn't work out? Because I told them that I'm not going to school because I can do this as an artist. So there was a lot weighing on me. But I guess at that moment too, I would have been, ashamed or embarrassed if things didn't work out. As I get older and I go through more crap, in this world, and I don't want to say that, that sounds harsh. As you go through more, listen, not everything's going to be easy. You're going to have a lot of downfalls, a lot of upfalls. But when you go through it and you experience it and you realize you always come out of it somehow, there is always light at the end of the tunnel. But not to have that fear of being ashamed and embarrassed of what your colleagues may think. And if people, in all honesty, are going to judge you like that, you got to ask yourself, do you really want them as friends anyway? Are these the sort of people that you want to be associated with if you feel that much stress about them judging you? Is it worth you being even around them? I think not. I say no. So the part of that is just to really hone in again, find that plan, find out what it is that you want to do, and don't worry about all these outside things that are going to just stop you from doing that. The things that you may run into is, of course, that fear of not having enough money to do what it is that you want to do. And that's where the risk comes in too, where you have to try that, find ways to, build that up. Remember when you were a kid and you wanted something so bad and your parents said you couldn't have it, and if you want it, you got to work for it. So you either did more chores or you went, I was gardening at around the age of 8 years old, going knocking on my neighbors' doors when I was living in England and seeing if they wanted me and my brother and my friend, we could clean up leaves and do things like that to make money so that we could buy our candy. And when I wanted my first bike, I had to earn it. I had to just do a lot of little side jobs and things. And I was, I remember for the longest time I was, when I had my paper out, when I was at a young age, when I was 13 years old. So doing these things in order to get the things that I want. And so you can make it happen. If you really truly want to make it happen, you can make it happen. I went around, and I've talked about this before, trying just to be an artist and wanting just to, for myself, just to say I'm an artist, just to be doing things in a professional way, going around at Christmas time painting windows and not being ashamed or embarrassed to say that yeah, I painted windows at Christmas time to make money. That's what I did. But that's every little step built up and the dots kept on being connected as I kept putting myself out there. With this all being said, I just want to jump into something that's very important right now, dealing with fear. And the fear of being rejected is another aspect. Again, you don't want to be rejected. But during this last expo, this animation, where I just saw just a lot of portfolios, there was probably about 5 different people that I looked at their portfolios. And they just were so fearful of criticism. And people, you cannot have this fear of criticism. You have to be open to criticism if you want to succeed in this industry. Because you are going to be criticized every single step of the way. Every single job you get, you're going to have directors, producers, other people who aren't always going to like what you do. And that's just part of the process. But I can tell you, when I talk to these people and they start throwing in the ahums before I'm even finished my sentence, I know that they're not even listening to a word I say, and personally, I just want to give up on these people. I don't, but I want to, because they are clearly checked out. When I start saying, I think you should start, this work that you have, and they start looking in different directions, and if you find yourself saying, before the person you're showing your portfolio has even finished their sentence, you are in the wrong and you are not seeking professional help. And that's what you want. You want opinions. That's why you're even asking someone to look at your portfolio. And it's funny to me when I see that. It's like, God, you're not going to be able to grow. If you're not really listening to this, you need to be asking questions and really soaking this in, and know that you may just not be at that level you want to be at, and you have to take it. You got to take it like a man and just take it and listen to that advice, okay? So that's my advice to anyone who says ahas and mm-hms while they're getting their portfolio looked at. Be open arms, and learn and grow. Eliminate that fear of criticism. Know that in order to succeed at what it is you want to do, you're going to have to learn. You're going to have to grow, and this is part of the process, all right? So thanks again for watching this Monday morning art talk. I wish you guys all just a great week, and I shall talk to you next week. Take care. Whoa! Hey! Go back. Go back.
Go back.
Great. Go back. Go back.